Hey, Desmond Du here from No Sleep Creative. I'm back again with another masterstudy tutorial. Today we'll recreate a curtain review from the Steven Universe title sequence done by Chromosphere Studio. In the next tutorial, we'll recreate the seashore animation, so stay tuned. I hope you love the show today. Alright, let's get to the motion analysis. Here we have the reference scene we'll be replicating today. What do you observe? Luckily for us, Chromosphere Studio has their animation process on their website, and their lead compositor wrote this. For the curtains, I basically rebuilt all the shapes and shades using the shape tool. I adjusted the feathering of these shapes to match the original design. I then used the effect called reshape combined with mesh warp and animated the opening. At the end, I used the noise alpha to get a stylized grainy look. I also changed the blending mode of some layers to dissolve. In addition, they have an animation breakdown video, but there are some parts that were not very clear to me. So I wrote down all the instruction for each step, and suddenly, things become clearer and more approachable. So, this is what we're gonna be doing today. And that's all for the analysis. This master study is a little bit special this time because I had my dear friend Diana Rex to design the assets for me, which you can download and use for your own animation. The link is in the description below. Here is a time lapse of Diana's design process in Adobe Illustrator. Do check out her work at Diana's Studio on Instagram. And with that, let's get on with the tutorial. In After Effects, create a composition that is full HD and make it 30 frames long, and click OK. So in this project file that I provided, I actually imported all the assets for you, so we can actually start immediately here. The first thing we want to do in this composition is to right-click, New, Solid, and let's call this Base, and let's click OK. And let's actually make this dark shade of red over here. I'm going to Command D, and we're going to name this one Shadow, and do it again and call the dot one Highlight. And we're just going to, let's see, turn off highlight for now. And for the shadow, let's get rid of my fill, right? And we want to change it to black. So I am going to hit Command Shift Y to bring up my solid setting, and then, change my fill to black and affect all layers that use this solid. Click OK, and then let's zoom out, Command minus, and then I'm going to use my rectangle tool and just draw rectangle mass across my shadow layer over here like this. So you want to have at least 6 or 8 varying rectangular mass like that. And then once you've done that, let's open it up. Open up maximize our panel, press MM. Oops, sorry. Let's press MM to get our mask properties. And if you hold out Option Command A, right? So on Windows, it will be Alt Control A. You can actually select all visible property, and we're gonna set all the feather to 145, right? Convenient shortcut, right? And let's exit it, and let's also collapse that. And the next thing we want to do is to go to highlight, and we're just gonna make it a bright red color. And we're gonna do the same thing as we did with the shadow, but with ellipse tool. So we're actually gonna just turn off the layer so we can see where we are putting our mask, our ellipse mask. So we just want to put in between, not in the shadow. I guess you can overlap a bit, right? And have, again, vary the shape. So something like that. And one more maybe over here. Like, let's make it shorter. And let's maximize our panel once more. Let's press MM. Sorry, let's press MM with the highlight layer selected. And Option Command A. And then we're going to set the feather to 75. And we also want to reduce the mass expansion to be about, let's make it about -5. And let's just exit the panel. And let's turn on our highlight and see what happens. So it's looking a little bit bright. So let's press T to get our opacity and reduce it down to, let's see. Let's also press Command Shift H so we can hide our layer control so we can see clearly. So something like that. You can feather it even more, but I think I'm satisfied with this for now. This one's not looking very good, this mask on the far end, so I'm just gonna just stretch it out. Maybe something like that. Yeah. And of course, you can change the mask settings. Okay, so the design of the curtain is done. So let's select all our layers over here and hold Command Shift C to pre-compose it. We're gonna call this curtain design and then click OK. And the next thing we want to do with this layer selected, go to your shape tool, your rectangle tool, double click on it, and we're going to create a mask. Command Shift H to show our layer control, and then let's rename this mask as RC for source, Command D, and then to duplicate the mask, let's rename this TGT for target. Lock the source mask and then change the color of the target mask to something visible, like something green. And then we're going to go over here, right? First of all, we're actually going to, let's get our rulers, Command R, and let's set it at where the current is going to pull. So somewhere here will be good. And we're going to just use our pen tool and just click create our fifth point over here. And let's just press M to set a keyframe for our mask path for our target and go down to about, 1 second. And let's grab this point over here and shift it all the way to, over to the left. And then what we are going to do next is also select our top and bottom points and shift it as well to somewhere around here. So the bottom point should be closer to the center point like that. Now press G for the pen tool, hold Option and click on our middle point over here. And then continue to hold Option or Alt on Windows and you can just control the handles like that. So you just want to get a nice curve to make it look like a curtain. Okay, so all right, so it's pulling it like that. Very nice. So let's go to our effects and preset panel now and type in reshape. Double click on it and we're going to set our source mask to source and destination mask to TGT. Set the percent to 100% and you can set the elasticity to be liquid. Well, you can feel free to play with any of the settings. I find that liquid seems to be working the best. And as you can see, well, our mask, it's a very slow, heavy effect, so it will be slow. And you can see it's being pulled. It's being pulled to review like a curtain. So I Command Shift H to hide my layer controls. So it's looking pretty good right now. In the animation breakdown by Chromosphere, they actually use mesh warp. So to kind of add more details or just make it more organic, but we're going to skip that. And then next thing we're going to do is to animate to bring in the rope and tassel. So let's put it on top, right? And then since we have our guides over here, let's grab the rope and put it here. Okay. And let's right click new, now object. And let's rename this to be cord_control. We're gonna parent, let's see, actually before we parent it, Command Shift H to show layer control. And let's grab our point, our layer control and put it over here where the rope should be and just shift it accordingly like that. And you notice the rope is somewhat not long enough. So we can press S, uncheck constraint proportion and just lengthen it a bit by 115%. And that should be fine. We're going to scale it up anyway, so it shouldn't be a big problem. And then we are going to just adjust it over here and then set parented to the now cord control. Let's also grab our tassel and put it here. All right, make sure the tassel is on top. And then, yes, make sure the tassel is also parented to cord control. And we are just going to animate the cord control going from the right side of the screen and just follow the curtain review. So somewhere around here, right? So we gotta, do some try and error. So at the end of 1 second, it should be this now control should be over here. So let's see what's happening. Okay, let's hit Command Shift H, hide layer control. And then, all right. So let me just reduce my resolution to quarter so we can see it clearly and play it. All right, so we got to shift this point to be shift the X, right, to the left hand side. Actually, it needs to be, let's see, let's shift it, this keyframe, create a second keyframe here, delete the first keyframe and shift it back. So yeah, that did not work. So I guess we have to have the 3 keyframe. So you have to match it up like that. So it seems to be working like that. I think except for the beginning, it's not looking correct. So we just gotta, manually just move the rope. So it's only a few frames, so don't worry about it. So it seems to work very well. And so that's the rope. Now we need to work on the tassel, right? So for the tassel, let's see. What we need to do is the tassel design is actually incomplete. I actually asked Diana not to add in the stars, and because I can stylize in After Effects. So let's actually select the tassel layer, hold Command Shift C to pre-compose it, leave all attribute in the layer composition. Let's call it tassel, and click OK. Let's go inside, and we're gonna press Command K, and set the width to about 300 and height to about 600. And then, so you can't see a tassel now because it's on the right hand side. So you got to position it into the middle and put it on top. So we're gonna lock the anchor point there later, and we're gonna hit Command D to duplicate it. So that's 2 tassel, and then we are going to go to Effects preset panel and drop shadow, and you can increase the distance and increase the softness and even increase opacity. All right. So that's the tassel. And then we're going to create a star. So let's go to our star 2 and then deselect the layer and create a star and make it yellow. We are going to center the anchor point, going to layer, select the shape layer, go to layer, transform, center anchor point and layer content. And we can name this star _1. All right, let's zoom in. And then we're just going to design our tassel. Press W to get a rotate tool and hit Command D to duplicate it. And then you can just rotate it a bit if you want. And you can add a drop shadow. I'm going to have it face towards the right. And then you can increase the softness and increase the opacity. Let's see. So something like that. So maybe we can even move it. Yes, just want to have some depth to it. And then there's a Command D again to duplicate our star layer, and then just put it here, rotate it a bit, Command D, rotate it, and do it once more for our last layer. And maybe you want to have layer star number 5 be at the back, and that should be fine. And what we can do next is to create our glitter. So we can right click, new, solid layer, and let's call this P for particle. And I'm gonna go to my effects and preset panel and type in particle world. And then I'm gonna set the birth rate to 0.1. Go to my physics, set velocity to 0, and also gravity to 0. Go to the producer and increase the radius X and increase the radius Y. So to kind of cover the bottom half of the tassel. And then we're gonna go into particle instead of so for the particle type, select faded sphere. And then you can increase the particle size and set the depth color to white. And then we can also increase the max opacity and increase the size variant. So if we were to play it now, see, we get all this sparkle like that. So it's still not looking as how we want it to be. And also we want it to start earlier, so we can just grab this layer and push it forward. All right, and just extend our layer. So it's going to just emit particle right from the start. Finally, set the blending mode to dissolve to stylize the design. And there you go, we have our tassel. And feel free to play with the settings in the particle world. Maybe you want to have more particle. Maybe you can set the birth rate to 1. That's a little bit too much. Or you can actually set the color map to custom and then just create more and go to custom color map and just have more color control over here. But for now, I'm going to set it to birth to death. Okay, so the tassel is done now. let's go back to our animation over here. And because we changed the composition size, the, the anchor point of our layer has changed. So let's press Y and just move our anchor point to the top and reposition it, our tassel, to on top of the rope. Okay, and we're gonna press R. We're gonna keyframe a rotation at frame 0, and as it's go down to about 21 frames, let's rotate it. Let's have it fly up, and then as it goes at the end, let's have it come down a little bit like that. So maybe -36. So let's play it and see what happens. So let me set the resolution to half, so it'll be fast. It'll render faster. So yeah, the current review is looking good at this point. And one last thing we need to do is to kind of move the current towards the left as it's pulling to the left hand side. So let's right click, new, now object, and let's call this now master. And then we are going to parent everything. Now we're going to select the current design and the call control and pick with it to the parent, and then press P to get a position and push the keyframe down maybe about frame, let's see, let's make it frame 9. And then as it goes towards the end, let's have it move towards the left like that. And it's okay if you still have a little bit on the left hand side because we're going to scale it up, and you can always have it push towards the left even more if you want to. So it's pretty fast. So let's just grab this keyframe, and that's looking more natural. And there you go. Our current review is complete. So we do need to add in drop shadow though. So let's select our tassel and let's select our rope first and add in a drop shadow. And then let's set the direction to be about 240 degree, increase the softness to about 30 degree, increase the opacity, increase the distance so we can see it. All right, let's copy it and paste it onto the tassel. There we go. And let's play it once more. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is to stylize the motion as well as add that grainy look. So let's grab this composition and create a new composition with it. And we're going to hit Command K and make it about 5 seconds long. And then click OK. And then we're going to hit Command Y to create a new solid. And we're going to make this color gray. It's something a dark gray like that. And just set the name to be noise. And we are going to go to the effects and preset panel and grab our noise effect and set the percent to be 66. And then we can use CC white time. So this is a technique I learned from the Ordinary Folk master study. So set the backward step to 2, right? And then we are going to change the blending mode to soft light. And let's see. So we can see we get that grainy look already. And we can also turn on preserve transparency. So it only appear where it only appear in our layer where there's alpha, right? Where there's a layer. Okay. And then we're gonna create new adjustment layer, and let's call this post time. And let's go to effects preset panel and just select posterize time, set the frame rate to 12 and play it. There we go. We have our stylized motion current review. And one thing you're gonna do when you animate this, right? Since we animate, our composition is only 30 frame long. When we have our other curtain at the back, we want it to also not start at the beginning. We want it to be actually freeze and then play it when we want to. So we can actually do this. First of all, let's actually transform, flip horizontal. So this is what I did for the different sides of the current review. So we don't want it to have it show up to animate at the same time. And if you were to move the layer, right, it does not appear behind. So we can get around this by right click, time, enable time remapping, extend the layer in point, and then also the out point as well. And you can move the both of the keyframes to wherever you want it to start. So let's just say I want my second current to start animating at frame, let's see, maybe let's make it about frame 17. So I can move my keyframe here. Now if I had to play it, right, there we go. And you can keep repeating this process. So I can actually duplicate this one over here, right? I have to reset the transformation though. So flip horizontal, and then I am press U and shift the keyframe somewhere around here. So let's try it, play it. There you go, it works. So this will be your animation process for creating this repeated curtain reviews. So for the rest of the curtains, I have it already here for you in this composition called 02_main. I'm not going to cover the animation process here because there's simply just 3D layer position in Z space with a camera pushing in. So that will be your animation challenge. As for the spotlight, I made use of two circle shaped layer animating in with a blending mode of overlay, and I reduced the opacity to 75% with a fast box blur effect of 10 pixel. And I also have a black solid to use as like the darkness to review everything. And I just simply animate opacity from 100 to 0 from right from the beginning. And we are done. As you can see, the main technique here is just the curtain review. Everything else is just simple After Effects compositing. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe so this tutorial can get to more people. I hope you love this master study. And stay tuned for part 2, where I will animate the waves of the seashore. I also provided my preview animation project file along with this one over here so you can reference my process. The link is in the description below. As always, if you made something of this tutorial, please tag me on Instagram at @DDesmondDo because I love to see what you came up with on your own. Alright, that's all I have for you guys. I'll see you next time.